I'm City of Laurel Communications Director Audrey Barnes. Thank you for joining us for this Laurel TV special, Your Voice, Your Vote, the Presidential Election 2016. History will be made on November 8th of 2016. For the first time, the nation will cast ballots for a woman as the nominee of a major party. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton became the Democratic Party nominee after defeating Bernie Sanders. Reality television personality and businessman Donald Trump is the Republican Party's presidential nominee. There are also several third-party and independent presidential candidates, including Libertarian Party nominee and former New Mexico Governor Gary Johnson and Green Party nominee Jill Stein. Joining me now to provide some vital election information is City of Laurel Clerk Kimberly Rao. Kim, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
I guess right off the bat, we want to talk about the fact that if you haven't registered, is it too late?
It is too late to register to vote.
So at this point, if you haven't registered, unfortunately, you will not be able to cast your ballots.
Correct. Unfortunately, you cannot. The deadline is already passed.
Okay. Well, the deadline to actually get to the polls is ticking, ticking, ticking. But you don't have to wait till November 8th. Let's talk a little bit about early voting, because that's what's going to happen first. Early voting. Tell us who's eligible, when does it start, and where do we go?
Okay, early voting in the City of Laurel and all of Prince George's County starts on Thursday, October the 27th. The polls will be open from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m., and they will remain open until Thursday, November the 3rd.
So is there anything I need to bring to the polling place to do early voting?
I would bring some form of ID with you.
Just an ID is good?
Some form of identification, correct.
Okay. So, you know, there are numerous early voting sites, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a second. But for the majority of people in Laurel, where do I go if I would like to cast my early vote?
The early voting center for Laurel residents is the Laurel Beltsville Senior Center, which is on Conti Road up by the hospital.
And I noticed when I was cruising through the Prince George's County Board of Elections website, there was a lot of early voting sites in Maryland. Can I say I want to just take my kids to school and cast my ballot? Can I vote at any of the sites in Prince George's County?
You can. You can vote at any of the early voting sites in Prince George's County as long as you're a registered voter in the county.
Okay. And because there are so many of them, I want to let the viewers know that we will be posting all of those early voting sites on the Laurel TV Facebook page.
Correct.
So they can go there and get all the locations and the addresses, which is something that I think a lot of people will want to know. So, okay, so that's early voting. Now let's talk about voting on Election Day, November 8th this year. Polls are opening when? And tell us all about that.
Okay, on Election Day, November the 8th, the polls will open at 7 a.m. and they will close at 8 p.m.
Now a lot of times people are racing from work, trying to get to those polls. You get there just by 8 p.m. Is it going to be too late?
It's not going to be too late. As long as you're there and in line, the election judges will allow you to vote.
So you must be in line by 8 p.m.
You must be in line.
Okay, so do I need to bring anything special on Election Day?
I would bring some form of identification with you.
Just to bring an ID, don't forget that ID.
Just bring something, correct.
Okay. So I imagine in Laurel there are several different voting locations. Can you tell us about some of those locations?
There are several voting locations in the City of Laurel. Let's see, we have Dwight D. Eisenhower Middle School, the Laurel Boys and Girls Club, Laurel Elementary School, Laurel High School, Bond Mill Elementary, James Harrison Elementary, Montpelier Elementary, Deerfield Run Elementary, Oaklands Elementary, the Tabernacle of Laurel, the Robert J. DePietro Community Center, the Laurel Volunteer Fire Department, Deerfield Run Elementary School. Those are the sites within the greater Laurel area, and you should plan to go to the site that you've always voted at on Election Day.
And I know in my county, and I'm sure it's like that in many counties, you get a little notice in the mail, like telling you your polling place is so-and-so.
Correct.
On Election Day, it's important that you go to the one that you're assigned to.
That's correct. And you should have already received a mailing from the Board of Elections in the county that you live in. I received mine from Anne Arundel County, and it is a sample ballot that you will be seeing on Election Day. And it tells you the poll on that form that you should report to.
Now, it seems like the Prince George's County Board of Election website is packed with information. Is that where I should go if I really don't know where I'm supposed to vote?
Yes, that's where you should go. If you live in Prince George's County, go to that website. They do have a ton of information on there that will more than likely answer your question. They do also have a call center that is up and running right now too, and you can call them at 301-341-7300.
We also probably want to give people the actual website for the Prince George's County Board of Elections.
Yes, good idea. That would be www.princegeorgescountymd.gov. That would be their website. And you can also reach them at election@co.pg.md.us.
Very, very important website, packed with lots of good information.
Yes, it is.
All right, well, don't go away. When we come back, we will take a look at actually absentee voting if you simply will not be able to get to the polls on November 8th. So stay tuned, much more to come.
Voting on the ballot scanner is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Mark your selections. A poll worker will issue you a paper ballot. Take your ballot to an available voting booth. Be sure to use the marking device supplied at the polling location. As a first step, you will need to completely fill in the oval next to your selection. Avoid making any other marks on your ballot. It is important that you mark your ballot properly to ensure that your votes are counted correctly. Make sure you mark your selection in all of the races that you intend to vote, selecting no more than the number of choices allowed. Step 2. Review your selections. Review your selections marked on the paper ballot. If you are satisfied, take your ballot to the ballot scanner. Step 3. Cast your ballot. The display screen will provide instructions on how to insert your ballot into the tray. The ballot scanner accepts ballots in any orientation. For example, you can insert the ballot upside down or backwards. A scanning ballot "Please wait" message is displayed during the scanning process. A prompt will appear if no marks are detected, or if you select more than the number of choices allowed. If you'd like to change your selections, press Return Ballot on the touchscreen and your ballot will be returned. You may need to ask a poll worker to give you a new ballot. If you prefer to cast your ballot as is, select Cast your ballot with mistakes on the touchscreen. If your ballot is filled out properly, it will automatically be accepted and the display screen will notify you once it has been cast successfully. The DS200 digital scanner is a simple-to-use yet cutting-edge solution. For more information, visit the Maryland Board of Elections website at elections.maryland.gov.
Welcome back to Laurel TV's special, Your Voice, Your Vote, the Presidential Election 2016. City of Laurel Clerk Kimberly Rao is my guest today. We're talking about voting, and now we want to shift gears from actually voting early and on Election Day to absentee voting. This is where it's critical to get to that Prince George's County Board of Election website.
That's correct. On their website, you can access a ballot request form. So if you cannot get to the polls for early voting or on Election Day, there's still time to vote absentee. So you'll want to go to the website, download an application, complete the application, and then you're going to mail it or hand deliver it to the Board of Election Supervisors at Prince George's County.
So let's talk about some of those deadlines, Kim. So, so tell me the different ways that I can deliver that request to get an absentee ballot to the Board of Elections.
Okay, you can mail them at this point in time. November the 4th at 5 p.m. would be the time that the ballot request has to be into the Board of Election Supervisors. There's also an opportunity for you to fax or email your ballot request to the Board of Election Supervisors, and that must be received by November the 4th at 11:59 p.m. All of this information is on their website.
Okay, so I think it's also important for people to know that if you do request an absentee ballot and you want to email it back, you cannot just say use an electronic signature, right? They don't accept them.
Right, they want a...
So you have to scan it. You have to what? Print it?
You will have to print it, sign it, and then scan it. Correct.
Okay. If you want to email or fax it back.
Right.
All right, that's very good to know, because a lot of people will send them back without that signature on there, and you would not want your vote just to be
That's correct.
not counted.
Or
So
you would not want to miss the opportunity to get your absentee ballot.
Right, so that's a lot of good information. How soon do you think we'll know who the next president of the United States will be?
Considering the current political climate, I would be very surprised if we knew definitively on election night. I would imagine about a week or so after.
Mm-hmm. And do we have any sense of what the turnout might be in Laurel and past presidential elections? Has it been strong? Or?
It has been very strong in the past presidential elections, and I expect we will have a strong turnout again this election.
So one way to avoid that is to take advantage of all the things that we've already talked about. If you want to go early and may possibly avoid some lines, you've got those early voting locations. Also, you can do an absentee ballot if you know you're not going to be able to get to the polls.
That's correct.
All righty, it sounds good. I hope everybody takes advantage of their right to vote.
I encourage people to vote early.
Right.
Correct.
Beginning October 27th. Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Audrey.
Lots of great information. We really appreciate it. We also want to thank you for watching. Don't forget, early voting begins October 27th. It runs through November 3rd. In Laurel, you can vote early at the Laurel Beltsville Senior Center. That's at 7120 Conti Road. Also, there are a number of other early voting locations. We're going to put all of that on the Laurel TV Facebook page along with their addresses, so check that out if you'd like to find another early voting place, maybe near your workplace or your kid's school, so you have an opportunity to do that. We leave you now with another look at the voting locations for November 8th, the big day. To have your say, you have to cast your ballot. I'm Audrey Barnes. Thank you so much for watching.